Tony Scott with bnetTV. We are here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona for 2013. I am speaking with Mr. Ton Brand from the Wireless Broadband Alliance. How are you today, sir?
I am fine, and welcome to our forum.
And fantastic forum it is. You and I off camera had just said that we hadn't spoken together since 4G World in Chicago a couple years back, but prior to that, we've had a chance to talk with the Broadband Alliance, and things are just moving at such a rapid pace. This conference clearly proves where the ecosystem is growing, which is everywhere at an expansive rate. For all of the bnetTV viewers, why don't you tell us a bit about the Wireless Broadband Alliance and why membership has its benefits?
Right. Okay, so the Wireless Broadband Alliance was formed in 2003 already, so it's a couple of years ago. By a group of operators that kind of devised that, what we do with mobile and roaming, we should be able to do with Wi-Fi and roaming as well. So back in those days when Wi-Fi was out there, roaming was not built into this ecosystem, right? So what the Wireless Broadband Alliance has done is built out that ecosystem to improve Wi-Fi roaming between operators, brought in a lot of network vendors, and now we're building out into what we call the next generation hotspot. So next generation hotspot is where you take a device, you roam onto a hotspot, and you automatically authenticate. So no more usernames, no more passwords, no more credit card numbers. You just roam into that. It could be a SIM card on your mobile phone that's used. It could be something else on another type of device, and that's what we're aiming for. So our membership combines large operators, AT&T, Comcast, Time Warner, China Mobile, Docomo, KT, a lot of the big operators, but not only mobile operators, right? Also fixed line and the cable operators, as well as network vendors, device manufacturers. So we bring them together, and what we want to do is drive this market forward, and that's our main objective.
Let's talk about the wireless Wi-Fi capacity as a whole. Was it underutilized for up until now to a certain extent, where we're using more fixed line backhaul, and is it more cost effective to go into a Wi-Fi situation in that case to bring down CapEx?
Definitely, if you look at it from the mobile operator perspective, the Wi-Fi offload is a cheaper situation to transit data for them. It's sometimes, in some cases, 10 times cheaper to do that. Look at it from the fixed line and the cable operator's perspective, it's different. They've got a different business model. For them, it's customer experience, customer retention, developing new business models that they haven't explored right now. So you can say that there are probably 6 or 7 big business models that are out there that are being used. But there's so many variations on the theme that everybody kind of mixes and matches it together to match what their own business model is and what their business case is. So the Wi-Fi offload is very, very important for mobile operators, and you can see it. It's around the show everywhere. And we've done some research. 50% of the people that we've interviewed from the operator community are going to launch next generation hotspots in 2013. So that's a massive amount. They're all moving towards get the data off the 3G network. Get small cells out there in buildings where your 3G coverage is probably spotty, if not poor. So that's what the mobile operators are moving forward towards.
So I can see where it would make sense on the microcell side. The small cell forms that we speak to a lot have clearly indicated that the microcells at the edge is what needs to continue to increase at a much more rapid pace because of CapEx costs, for sure, and the consumption of OTT data has been so impressive as of late, and it's only going to get thicker. Obviously, when you come to conferences like this, you see companies like Ford moving into the space from an M2M perspective. It's only going to get thicker. It's only going to get more robust.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. The data tsunami's just started, I think, right? And my background, right? M2M is my love area. And I think that's the next wave of where next generation hotspot and seamless authentication is going to move into. That's the next wave of devices. So the car is going to be a hotspot, right? The car needs to authenticate onto networks. You need to be able to download your maps. You're not going to do that over a 3G network. You're going to do that over your Wi-Fi network. So there's so much more opportunities for cheap data transfer in the Wi-Fi area than there is for 3G. Now, there's always a question of, is LTE going to cannibalize on Wi-Fi? And interestingly enough, we had a panel 2 days ago with 3 analysts, and we actually popped that question. is LTE going to be the death of Wi-Fi? And all of them said no. It's always going to be complementary to what's happening right now.
So I would tend to agree with the analysts, although I'm not an analyst anymore. I would tend to agree with that, just for the fact that LTE, although is the next generation of the 3G, is great, but because of the consumption, the increase in consumption, as you said, the tsunami has just started. Those networks are inevitably going to get bogged down by more and more devices coming online at a more rapid pace with more OTT players pushing down thicker files. It's going to be what we're 5 years from now. It's going to be where 3G is today, and we're going to be congested. So the Wi-Fi offload is going to have to be a part of the mix.
Right, exactly. And what the user wants is bandwidth, right? And where it comes from, he really, really couldn't care less, right? And that's the experience that we want to give them. They wouldn't necessarily not even know what they're doing, right? They just want to have a good broadband experience, and that's what the NGH program is going to deliver.
So let's talk a little bit about what you've announced. Let's talk about the certification program.
Yeah. So one of the problems, the Wi-Fi market is a very, very fragmented market. You've got big players like AT&T, like BT, but you've got very small mom-and-pop type of operations. Setting up Wi-Fi roaming agreements is a royal, long, painful experience for some of the operators. So what we've done is we've created a compliance program where there's a checklist. You can exactly see what the capabilities of the Wi-Fi operator is. So if you want to enter a roaming agreement, if you're a member of the WBA, you pick up that checklist and say, oh, he can do that, that, and that. We can match that. Now we can start into the commercial negotiations rather than going on ages on the technical side and then finding out after a year that still won't work. So we're expediting that. So we've just finalized the trial with 15 operators. They are going to go into commercial mode on that. We're going to expand the program with more operators, and then by our London event in June, the whole program will go live.
So I'm glad you actually said about the London program and it going live, because that leads right into my next question, which is going to be this particular certification program. Does it end up easing the burden for not just the carriers, but all members within the community? Because an easy checklist is kind of what you want. And then how do they get into it? How do they find out about it? How do they sign up? What does the membership look like?
Okay, so the membership, we've got different grades in membership. To participate in the program, you need to be a general member, right? All the information is on our website, www.wballiance.com. Not the best one in the world, but okay. And you can become a member there. You can download all the access. You have access to all our information. You can download templates of roaming agreements. You can download how the roaming model works, and that's where all the information is going to be.
An interesting topic that I want to end off here with from an auditing compliance standpoint. As countries continue to become putting more governance into their systems, auditing and CPA firms and other of the like don't necessarily have the best understanding of our ecosystem. You and I have been in this for a long time, so our peers and a lot of the other members are here. But I've been finding that a lot of the big auditing firms are having some difficulty understanding. They know what Wi-Fi is, but from a compliance standpoint, are you finding the same thing? And would you reach out to those people and say, you need to understand how this works, and this is what certification processes look like?
Definitely, they need to look into that, because certification is the core, as it is in the GSM technology, it is in the Wi-Fi technology. Without certification programs, you won't have standardization, you would have fragmented and incompatible solutions. So you have to move into that. But you also have to think about, as you say, what's the impact if I do Wi-Fi offload on, for instance, my lawful intercept, right? So does that impact that? You need to think about those things. And we're going to build programs to make that work.
Not that I want to bring this back to a public company standpoint, but there was a time when SOX 404 came into play, and all of a sudden there had to be disaster recovery plans put into major corporations because auditing firms were just deciding, hey, wait a second, if your computer systems go down, information is going to get lost. Are we going to see sort of a similar type of governance from a compliance standpoint where they're going to step into the breach and say, hey, you need to be certified because of?
Yeah, well, that could be the case. I don't think that the WBA, so we are not a standardization body. So we are very similar to the GSMA. We do compliance checking, right? We don't give anybody a grade, right? We just want to.
And nor should you, but
Yeah. So I can imagine that, in due course that will pick up, right? That Wi-Fi, because it's integrated part of everybody's networks, the due diligence around that will increase.
The consumer definitely hears about the bad stories when large corporations like, all this data is open to the company, and it was flowing free, but under a certification program they might feel a little bit more comfortable.
Exactly. So what we say in the WBA is what we want to create is interoperability, secure and seamless, right? Seamless is relatively easy to do. Secure is where that point comes in. So using your SIM card as an authentication credential to roam onto a network is 10 times, well maybe 100 times more secure than you putting that username, password, and your credit card information in there. So that is the key point of what the NGH is all about.
I could go on and on about the different areas of the ecosystem, but I have to cut it off there. I appreciate the time and effort that when you speak with us. I hope we get a chance to speak again prior to June or at June at your event.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
So when is the event again?
It's the June 10th to 15th in London.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. I've been speaking with Mr. Ton Brand of the Wireless Broadband Alliance here at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona for 2013, and I am Tony Sklar with bnetTV.